Scribble notes when I wrote these quotes. If I offend.
What's up? It's Jamil back again with another solo pod. I'm really enjoying these, so you might have to see more of these in the future. So this episode is really focused on one idea that I've been wrestling with lately, and it's the idea of who wins in life. As I was thinking about this topic, I was considering many avenues. One was like athletes, right? We have the NBA playoffs going on right now, Golden State Warriors versus Celtics, and I'm looking and I was reflecting on the Miami Heat experience and the Mavericks experience because both teams made the playoffs. They made a deep run. They both recently lost, and as I'm looking at their journeys and looking at the things they went through to get to where they are, they're viewed as losers because they didn't make it to the finals. They're viewed as losers because they didn't win the conference. But for so many of them, this is the stage and this is the place, the dream that they've always had was to get there, to get farther, to compete. And they were able to do that and compete at the highest level. So in reality, are they losers, right? These people who achieved their dream, who went on to play professional basketball, who were children one day playing at the park, imagining a day when they'd be playing in nationally televised game sevens for all the marbles, right? Like it's crazy that we can have both mindsets. We got the mindset that they're great and they did their thing, and we also have the mindset that they're losers and they didn't make it, or this was a letdown, like this person didn't play well. And it's crazy. It's a crazy idea, right? That an author can publish a book, right? Like Brandon Sanderson, he ran the biggest Kickstarter campaign of all time. This man broke the record. I think it was almost at $30 million that he raised over the course of a month. And he is looked at as a huge winner, right? That's a huge win. That's a huge success on his part. But I was on his Goodreads reading some reviews the other day, and there were negative reviews for some of his books. And it's like these people who have never written, or a lot of people who just never done what he's done, haven't had the success he's had. They're still judging him, still calling him overrated, still making statements about how he's just not that good. And as I'm listening to the reviews and listening to people give their opinions on his amazing storytelling, in my opinion, it's interesting because there's so many folks out there that still don't see it as a win, right? Like still don't see him as a winner in all of this. How can you view someone that has had so much success as overrated? How can't you give them the flowers, right? Like how can't you say he's been amazing, that he's done something that so many of us would love to have been able to do, and so many of us aspire to do, right? Like he's doing it his way. And as I'm looking at the world and I'm noticing who are the winners in life, when I was young, I thought partying was the way to win, right? Like going out to parties, being invited to parties, being invited to getting in, right? Like not getting stopped at the door, people seeing you and knowing you. I thought that was the way to win. I thought that's what winning was. I thought that was what winning was all about. Being able to sit at the cool kids table, and then you do it and you have success. You're going to the bar, you're on Snapchat, everyone's liking your pictures on Instagram, and you feel special. You feel like you did something. You feel like you made it, only for that to not mean anything. Only for that not to matter. To look around and say, like, who's here with me now? Who is there from that experience? Who still matters? I find myself reflecting on that time, saying, was I a winner then? Like, was that winning? Was that what winning was about? Being the party god? Was that winning? Going through that experience and spending time, like that wasn't winning. That wasn't me winning, but that was a form of winning, right? Like someone could win with that lifestyle. But was that winning? Is winning being a family man, right? Is winning sitting at home and building and doing arts and crafts and hanging out with your kids, like, is that the winning life? Like, is that what winning's all about? Because I know people who are doing that who aren't happy, who aren't necessarily fulfilled, who feel like they didn't do all the things they could have done in life, who feel like they have to provide more, because even when you're providing, you still feel like you have to provide more. Even when you had success financially, you still feel like you could do more, that you're capable of bringing in more income, generating more funds for the family. And it's crazy to think that even when you have success, you still might not feel like you're winning. And as we're going through this world, I'm finding that it's more and more common for us to wrestle with this idea of being winners. Who wins in life? What is winning? What is this definition of success that works for all of us? And I honestly don't think there is one. I don't think there's one way that success is measured. I also don't think that you can measure success any one way all of the time. I think success changes. I think success is on a spectrum depending on what you are looking at. What area are you viewing it from? Because there are some people who have extreme physical success, right? They got their body into the ideal shape that they have in mind. And there's others that struggle with that same thing. There's others that don't care and don't see that as a measure or a mark of success. And to someone else on the outside, they might look at all those people and say, you guys are all missing the point. It isn't uniform. And as I've been thinking about it, I've been coming to this conclusion that we have to reset our minds and reset our thoughts to get away from this idea that we are competing against those around us. We have to reset our minds from this idea that we are in competition every single day to have more and do more, to acquire more. And we have to move away from this mentality that more is what we need. Because in reality, more is not what we need, right? Sustainable life is what we need. We want a life that is happy, that is sustainable, something that we can understand, something that we can trust. We don't need a life that is always changing, a life that is always growing, right? Because sometimes when things are growing, other things are being pushed aside. And when things are being pushed aside, you might not be happy. If you pursue one dream, it's at the detriment of something else. And not having that understanding is where people have conflict. Because if you don't spend as much time at home, then you might start to be upset that you're not winning at home. You're not winning for the family. You're not winning with your family. You're not doing what you want. But at the same time, you might be feeling like I'm stagnant at work. So those two things fundamentally don't work together, right? Like you have to take away one or take away some of something in order to have something else. You have to be able to build that. And winning isn't just one area. Winning isn't just being a successful writer. Winning is also trying to be a successful father. And what that looks like for me is different than what it looked like for someone else. And what that looks like for someone else might be something that I don't agree with. But me agreeing doesn't matter for them. I think we're constantly pulled in this reality that we have to matter to someone else. I was watching a video my brother shared with me, and it was about a tribe in a foreign country that has been completely off the grid. They've never really interacted with anyone from the modern society. So they had no idea what cameras were. They have been completely isolated for years. And these people finally found them, got in touch with the tribe, and was able to visit and see and introduce them to all these new concepts. Now, these people were walking around naked, like literally so far back in time that it was like a time capsule of humanity, and seeing them was just this crazy experience last year, is when the video was posted. And what was interesting is, my brother shared this point, what was interesting is that when they saw these people, these natives saw the camera crew and all the folks who came in, they saw them wearing clothes, and they were like, whoa, what is this? And they started to feel sort of weird that they didn't have them. And the camera crew and all the folks gave them clothes and like gave them what they needed. And they asked them about it. And the native folks were like, yeah, I feel, they had a translator, like, I feel almost ashamed that I didn't have clothes before. And they started started giving them tools like pots and pans and stuff. And they were like, yeah, like we love this stuff. Like, this is crazy that we didn't exist in a world with this. And what it made me think about is how those people were never touched by these concepts that we've instilled in our own culture, in our own minds, these ideas of competition and these ideas of what success has to look like, right? So like, as even as humans on a human level, seeing clothes made them start feeling like they were ashamed for not having the same things, right? And that's crazy that within moments you could become ashamed that you don't have something that someone else does, that you want what someone else has. You see it and it immediately makes you feel some type of way. I've been talking about ads a lot because I've been a victim of Google ads, seeing my searches and then being like, hey, Jamil, you need this? And I'm like, oh, you know what? I really do. So I buy things sometimes. I'm like, oh man, you know what? The ad got me. Like, they showed it to me enough times and I finally bought the thing. And I was thinking about it because it's really within our programming almost now, of being really beaten to death with ads and experiences and seeing other folks. Like, the number of people I've seen on vacation makes me want a vacation. Like, it's crazy how much of an influence that stuff can have on you. And a lot of us might pretend that it doesn't, but it does. And that's why I'm like, who are the winners? Who wins in life? Because is the influencer the winner? The person that's spending the money to go do and live the life so that they can put it on display for others to see, just for others to like the thing that they're seeing and not really give anything more than just that moment of you are accepted via social media, just to be forgotten in the line at D'Angelo's, right? Like, that's kind of what happens. You can be super famous and no one will know who you are in the Stop and Shop one day. You'll be walking through the mall and you won't get crowded and people will be like, who are you? And that might not be exactly what you want, even to the extent that, like, there's positions and places and levels that you might never reach. And to compare yourself to folks who are of that status is just insane. But we do, and we'll think that we're not successful. We'll think that we're losers or that we didn't make it because we don't have the same thing that someone else does, or in the context of which we operate, we aren't on the same level. But that doesn't really make a difference at the end of the day, because there's not a level that means that you're a winner. There's just not. There's no one thing that can say you are a winner in life. There are many little things, many little wins that you can have in life, but there's no one thing that defines you. And as I was trying to seek the answers to the question, like, who are the winners? I found that, like, we're all winners in something. We're all winners in our lives. We're all winners in the things that we're taking on, the things that we're doing. You can be a winner just by trying something, because there's other people who never tried at all. You can be a winner just by going to the gym, not even seeing the result yet, because winners aren't made by results, right? Because we become results oriented so often that we look at ourselves and say, well, I don't have this yet. I'm not this now. That means I'm not this ever. But in reality, being a winner and living a fulfilled life and being happy isn't about what you have and what you're getting. It's about where you're going and how you feel about that. If you feel like, when I come home, I'm so satisfied, I'm so happy, I was able to clean. Like this past weekend, went out and got some new chairs for the dining room. Like, it's been something on the list for months, and finally went out, did it, got some new ones, brought the family, and like was able to do that. And for a single moment, right, you feel like a winner. You come home and you're like, wow, we actually did this. Like this little win in our life makes such a difference and is so nice. And we were able to do this. That is winning to me, right? Like that moment was winning. That moment made it all worth it. Sitting down and recording this podcast today, that's winning to me, because there's times when you don't, there's times when you wait, there's times when you don't see the success and you don't see the happiness, you don't get to feel it. And those times aren't the best, right? They don't make you a loser, but they don't mean that they don't mean everything. And I think we all get caught up in this mindset that if we're not doing it all today, if we haven't succeeded in every single way in all of our avenues, doing all of the things at the highest level, that we're not successful. In reality, it's just untrue. We create these straw men to go against our own thoughts. We create these ideas that say, well, if I don't do X, Y, and Z, and they're fallacies. Like, you aren't forced to do any of that stuff. You aren't forced to live this crazy life, go on these crazy vacations, because a lot of times those crazy vacations aren't even fun. They're stressful. The flights are long. Like the things that you get to do aren't nearly as great or picturesque as they seem. Sometimes the weather sucks. Sometimes being home and hanging out for the weekend is a much better vacation. And we have to stop pretending that it's not. And I think we get caught up, even myself included, get caught up in looking at what other people are doing and then placing judgment on that, placing value on what other people are achieving and what other people are accomplishing. And that's just not the case. Like, you don't need to do that. You don't need to live in a world where that person's X, Y, or Z is now your measuring stick. You can look and observe, right? You can be curious of other people. You can be intrigued by the people's journeys and their steps, and I would implore you to do so. I would implore you to say, how is that person winning? And then follow some of those roadmaps, do some of those things. But I would say, don't measure your entire life on a single moment. Don't measure your entire idea of success off of something that you saw in a 1-minute clip on Instagram. Don't read an article about an athlete and say, wow, I wish I pursued my dreams of football, because it's just not always true. If you did, your life would not always be better. And I think we have to come to a place where we're accepting that our life, the way it is, our happiness, the way it is sometimes exactly what we need it to be. Sometimes we are all winners. We just don't win at everything, and that's fine. With that being said, I'm all done. Y'all have a wonderful day. Peace out. And please, if you haven't already, make sure you rate this podcast. It makes a huge difference at the end of the day. Be easy.
Scribble notes when I wrote these quotes. If I offend, pardon me, there's more of me to grow. Creative in my process, enjoy the show. The will is different when you recognize the different strokes. Different folks, same goals, we all want the most. So when we reach the top, we can enjoy the toast. The type of bread we get is fresh about the bakery. Told them don't play with me, with or without a degree. Don't question my intensity, bravery. Similar to agencies that want to see you fold. So just pray for me. Einstein with my